Hello, guys. How are you doing? How you feeling? How was your day? I hope you said awesome to all three of those questions. My day was, I don't know. I don't know what's up with this new year. I'm hearing from a lot of people that I normally wouldn't hear from, like in years in some cases. And today was one of those days, and they're not calling me to ask me how I'm doing or to tell me they miss me. Like, they really just calling because they need someone to talk to. That's okay. I can be a pretty good listener, but we gotta watch that because sometimes people's problems can take a toll on us, and we don't even realize that we're carrying their baggage. So you gotta watch who you talk to and what you take in. So if you're not one of those people that can end that phone call or that conversation and not carry it with you, then you might need to think twice when you're trying to be a listening ear, especially if you already got something going on yourself. I'm just saying. So, that's how my day was. And as far as I'm feeling, I have a headache. And I've had it all day. And I do know that it is a side effect from my medication. However, we know I don't like taking medication. And if you didn't know, now you know. But I would much rather battle a headache than to have to deal with the shit that comes around when I don't take my medication. Yeah, so I take my medication, and I hope you're taking yours. Matter of fact, have you took your medication today? Whether it's for blood pressure or anxiety, diabetes, it don't matter what it's for. If it's time for you to take it, have you took it? Did you have any appointments that you have to go to today? And you made those appointments, right? If you had to be there, you were there, right? You're not missing no appointments. Guys, it's very important that we get our physicals, like our yearly physicals, or however often you get your physicals and your blood work. Make sure you checking on that temple because as you get older, things start to change and it can creep up on you and be like, what the heck going on? Especially us women. Our hormones will start getting all out of whack and we don't realize we yelling and snapping and doing all this shit until, yeah, you gotta keep up with that stuff. Pay attention. Even if you gotta make yourself a journal on your health, like your health journal and all the little changes you notice on a daily basis and review it. Keep up with it. It's very important. You only get this one body, and well, unless you believe in cloning, but you gotta take care of it. Make sure you doing your appointments and taking your medication and exercising, stretching, drinking that water. I do gotta drink more water for sure. So, what I decided to do today is, I had made mention that, when you're down in the dumps on the couch, depressed, isolating yourself, not wanting to do shit, you gotta motivate yourself. Get up and do something. It don't matter what it is. Get up and do something, right? So, back in February of 2024, I started gardening or yeah, that and planting plants. I started getting stuff ready because it was still kind of too early to put stuff outside, but I started buying little cheap stuff, little pots and stuff and seeds, and I started some stuff in the house. So I used that as one of my coping mechanisms to get out of the house, to get out of my head. I had to do something, guys. And I quickly found out that I could not use a shovel. That was devastating. And I know that might seem like very simple to some, but that was very devastating. I couldn't use a shovel because of my injuries. So I was determined and I was going to come up with something. And I did. And then me thinking, oh, I'm so clever, I'm so smart, I came up with this great idea. And then I got on YouTube and I realized, oh, it's a name for it. I think it's called something like the Garden of Eden technique, or if you put that in, it'll pop up. I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was being clever. So I'm going to tell you what I've done. It worked for me. So if you want a garden and you need an easy way to do it because you don't want to be out there digging in no dirt or tilling up your yard, I'm going to show you what I done. And you'll see that it worked for me. Now this video is, man, okay guys, let's do this light. This video is like 8 minutes long. So hopefully I can make this only like a 15-minute video total. I won't just be because we know I can do that. So we're going to get started. So what I'm about to show you is the way I did it. And some of the things, some of my produce. Okay, this camera is going to freeze and it's going to wear the shit out of me. So let's do this. Okay. What you're looking at right here. Cardboard. If just in case you're wondering, if you put cardboard down, it's like a wonderful weed blocker. It's awesome. And that's a good way to, if you need to kill some weeds, whether it's around your flower bed or whatever, put you some cardboard down and just leave it there and the grass and shit will die. That's the purpose of that. Because this right here was a row of watermelon and cantaloupe. And so I trained it to grow this way, not realizing it was going to grow all the way over to the fence. So yeah, it was interesting, but I thought I was going to have some cardboard, laid out, and my watermelon could grow on that instead of being on the ground, but it was what it was, and it all still worked out. However, that's a row of watermelon and cantaloupe. These were it was a mixture of some pole beans and some pole beans and bush beans. I can't remember what I planted here, but it didn't come up. Actually, it did, but it came up like months later, and it was lettuce, and I think I got a picture of it. And this is a squash. So what I did was, this board was here to hold the black weed blocker that I bought off Amazon. I bought the cheapest thing I can find with the most footage. So I think I paid like $29, and it came with these large 3 rolls that was over 100 feet. And I laid it down. We got some mulch from the trash dump, and they'll give you a load of mulch for free. So we went and got that, and my daughter and her boyfriend dumped it off in my yard for me. And then my ex went and bought me like 10 bags of soil from Ace Hardware, and they had it on sale for like $1.39 or something like that. And he threw it all out here, and then he threw me some mulch out here, and then I made these little rows. I had some cow manure, and so I took the cow manure and I mixed it up with some dirt, like in a bucket. I made these rows out of the dirt and the mulch that my boyfriend just threw out here over this weed block. Everywhere I decided I wanted a row, I took my razor blade, which this probably wasn't even necessary, but I took my razor blade and I made a cut down the row. And then I covered it up, and I would make a little circle with like a handful of mixed dirt and the cow manure and put it right there, and then put my seed or my starter plant in there, and then just cover it back up. Now, as stuff started to grow, because cucumber, squash and zucchini, it's really big, and the roots started coming up and you could see them. I just threw more dirt and mulch. I just kept building up around it, basically. So that's what you're looking at here. And hopefully I got this volume off because I just kind of want to talk over this video and tell you what I'm doing. So that's what I'm showing here, like basically what I've done. Here I'm showing you this hydroponic system. It's basically a pipe with the cap on it. I got this cap right here actually pops off so I can pour water down in here. It's much easier than trying to fit it in the holes. I got my boyfriend to drill these holes for me. I used a pool noodle, I think that's what it's called, and chopped it up. Got that off. I got this idea off YouTube. I'm not going to act like it was mine. But on this plant, I bought this from the store. It was a starter plant. It was much smaller, but I split it in two, and I rinsed the roots off real good in the dirt, and I put it in this cup. Tore that bottom of that styrofoam cup out, and I put it in this and stuck it in there because it was like a perfect fit. As you see here, I had been cutting off because, guys, I ate off this one plant probably for like 3 months. It just kept producing in this hydroponic system. And I can't remember the name of the solution I bought, but it was like, it came in 3 parts. I didn't get the one that's already mixed together. I bought the one that came in 3 parts. I looked for the cheapest thing. So I did that. And I had some other stuff in here too, but the grasshoppers and the beetles, the stink bugs is what I call them. They were just tearing that shit up. Like nothing would stay. Like they would grow and get out these leaves and maybe even start to flower, and then they would just attack it. So nothing else survived in here but this lettuce. Right here is a tomato plant, and it wasn't a big boy. I don't know. I can't remember what the name of the tomato plant is. I really can't remember the name of none of my plants. I ain't gonna get the lie like the watermelon over here. But again, I wasn't expecting to have like a full-fledged garden producing all summer long because I thought I was going back to work. So yeah, this is what you're looking here, and I'm explaining to you guys. I've been cutting and eating, and I got a lot of salads. I had split that and put some in the dirt to see which one was going to do better. Of course, the one in the hydroponic did better. These are some more bush beans that I had planted. This is a raised bed. So the system I was telling you about a few minutes ago where I just built up some dirt, this is a raised bed that I have. And if you're considering getting a raised bed and filling it with dirt, and it's your first time, if you don't know this trick, let me go ahead and share something with you. First, fill it up, unless you're doing like a vegetable that's like a root, like a potato. You would want to do this for a potato because you know they grow in the soil, and so you're going to be digging around in there. So don't do this for potatoes, but like for these beans and my tomatoes, and I had did some herbs in here. Instead of filling it up with dirt, because that can get very, very expensive. It takes a lot of freaking dirt, especially if you got a nice size one. This came from Amazon, and I can't remember the dimensions, but I think it was a total of like 6 feet. It might have been something like 5 by 6 or 4 by 6 or something like that. You fill it up with cardboard, dirt. I mean, not dirt, rocks, logs. I use some fire logs and sticks as much as you possibly can. And then you really only need maybe 4 to 6 inches of dirt for your plants to grow because the roots don't grow, real far. So I could have went all the way up, but like I told you, dirt is very expensive and it takes a lot when you try and fill this bad boy up. So the key is to fill it up with other stuff, and then maybe if I was thinking, I would have went to about this level and then filled it up with dirt and then planted my stuff. But it doesn't matter because this worked for me. Now, this right here was a bottle. It has a cut in it, and I had a mixture of sugar water and borax because I had a problem with ants. Now, the ants wasn't destroying my plants or anything. For whatever reason, I just didn't like the huge ant beds, and so this is what I use to get rid of them naturally. So that's what that is, just in case you're wondering. This is months later, the same bed, and I'm showing you how all this stuff had started growing, and I did have to thin it out because this stuff started from seeds, and I had put down a lot of seeds, and I had to thin it out. So that's what I'm showing here, guys. Right here, I'm showing you a tomato plant. This also is a bucket full of that hydroponic solution that I was just telling you about. We cut a hole in the top, and we used the pool noodle here, wrapped it around the root, the base of the tomato. And I used the pool noodle because I was expecting the trunk of the tomato plant to get really thick, and it did. And I didn't want it to be suffocated by the lid hole being so small. So it was probably about the size of a soda bottle. And I used the pool noodle around the tomato stock. And as it got bigger, I could adjust it so that way it didn't kill the plant. But this thing got huge. The hydroponic solution made my stuff produce a lot of fruit really fast. Now I'm showing you, I did put strawberries up here, and they did grow pretty good. But again, for whatever reason, these plants in this tubing, the insects killed it. They wouldn't stop eating on them. And I kept trying and I kept trying, and they just kept eating. I even tried spinach, but in different lettuces. This is a tomato, a cherry tomato. I thought it would be a good idea to stick it right here, not realizing that this mug could get over 10 feet tall. Seriously. And really big. So wasn't a good idea. I would not be doing this again. I would not be putting it right there for the simple fact that whatever reason, the freaking grasshoppers lived on it. They covered this thing year round. And they were eating my fruits, but they were more or less eating my leaves. This is a blueberry plant that I can't remember the name of it. I think I show it, but I show it too fast. Strawberry. Those are ever-bearing strawberries. I think that's what they're called. But I will never plant strawberries and blueberries together again. That was a horrible idea. This is also a blueberry plant, but a blueberry bush, but it is a different blueberry bush. Those are two different ones. They are self-pollinating, so that's why I could get two different blueberries. That one that I just showed produced a hell of a lot more than this one, and I hate that I can't remember the name. This netting and stuff that you see and that little fencing thing, I had to put that up. Let's see. Dang. I had to put that up for the birds and my dog. For whatever reason, my dog kept wanting to go over there and mess with that thing. My blueberries. Now, this is strawberries. This came from the dollar store. I put holes in it. I had ordered some strawberry plants off online, and I can't remember. I think it starts with an I. But it came 25 plants for like $12. I thought this was going to be awesome, so I punched holes in it, put the plants in it, and it was a horrible idea. I mean, some of them grew, and the idea was for them to grow and hang down, and it didn't necessarily work. So I wound up taking them out of here and putting them elsewhere, and I don't think I got a video on it. These hanging buckets, I actually had herbs in it, like I think I had oregano in one, peppermint in another. I know I had peppermint in another thing, just different stuff. Man, that's those strawberries. This container right here I caught on sale for like 15 bucks. I threw some seeds in it. I really overplanted this bad boy. I got tomatoes. It was two different types of tomatoes in there, and some cherry tomatoes and some peppers. That's a pepper plant right here. Now I'm showing you this garden. Listen, guys, I use this I was trying different stuff for like natural fertilizer, and I ran across this thing where someone used some yeast and like when you're making a pizza, yeast, sugar, and water. You mix it up. You can look it up on YouTube. And so I experiment on certain plants. So this one, I didn't give any of that mixture to. This one I did. Both of these I did. And they were all planted at the same time. And you see the difference. So for me, using that yeast sugar water mix really worked when to me. But I started out like I said with cow manure, and then by this time my chickens were outside and they were starting to produce a mess, and so I started using my chicken manure from my coop to fertilize, and everything was doing great. This one eventually grew to be larger than that one. But by the time this one got huge, that one up there at the top, which that's a squash and that was zucchini, this one was on its last legs. And that's another squash. Those are beans, like I said, and those are my watermelon. You see, they were getting pretty big, and I had them build up around them with my hay. So I had got a bale of hay for my chickens, and I just kind of used it around for my plants also. This right here, you'll later see I planted some cabbage in it, and I don't think I showed the cabbage, and I planted some spinach, and I don't think I showed that, but I know for sure I got my oh, you'll see it later. I don't want to hold up the video. Right here, what I'm talking about in this video is this pot. This is like a 25-gallon pot. I do got holes in the bottom so the water can drain. But I had to water this mug so much because these are potatoes. And I had like 4 potatoes in there, and I really wasn't expecting, never grew potatoes before, wasn't expecting this. So I was like really shocked that I had this going on, and I had to keep it watered because this plant grew huge. And when I dumped it, I had so many potatoes, guys. Yeah, it was the russet potatoes, and all I did, you know how you have those potatoes that start growing those eyes? Well, if I had a really big one, let me see. I'm probably gonna freeze, but if I had a really big one, say yay big, and it had eyes, let's say it had something growing out of this end and something growing out of this end, I split it in half, stick both of those halves in the dirt, cover them up with the little sprout eye facing up, and that's what I got. So that's what I'm showing right here. This bag of dirt actually went on sale at Walmart. I mean, they dropped down like really cheap. And so my boyfriend came over and he had bought me like 6 of them. This is some really good stuff. This pot right here, I eventually grew some herbs in it, but right now I'm explaining that I wasn't expecting this, and I was wondering if I was gonna get potatoes. All this is covered by weed block, which you can see some right there. So weeding my garden was very easy. That blue container that you just seen briefly, I planted potatoes in that too. I hate that you can't see how small that muscadine bush is, but yeah, muscadine vine is, but maybe I'll get to it. There you go. There's my why can't I think of the name of that? But that's what I planted in that little wooden square thing. I'm showing you broccoli right here. I never grew broccoli before. So when I seen that, I was very excited. And I still can't think of the name of it, but it was delicious. This pepper plant, I planted 2. They came up from seed. It produced so many peppers. Some I did leave on here to turn red. But this thing grew so many peppers, and it did not get no taller than about maybe 3, no, I'll say about 12 inches high. Like it was really short. It didn't make it. It barely past my midway of my calf. Like it was so. It was like a dwarf, but it produced so many peppers, and I was just thinking like, why do I remember pepper plants getting so much bigger? But it didn't. Here's that vine. It's a story behind this, guy. So when I bought this off from that same website that I got the strawberries, I planted this, another one, and a grapevine. The grapevine I got from Home Depot. My dog, the day that I buried him, and I came back home, I left, came back home, he had done dug them up and drug them all over the yard. And when you buy these right here from like the gardening stores online, they basically come in looking like sticks and roots. So by him digging it up, he had done broke the sticks and the stems. The roots was all terrible. I didn't think the grapevine didn't make it. I didn't think this was gonna make it either. And as you see, I just stuck a little wanky pole in there and I decided to use my good post somewhere else. That was a big mistake because this thing decided to grow back and you see what it's doing. And yeah, we never got time to dig this up and then put something else down. So we had to do some reinforcing. So, guys, you know how people say when you buy fruit trees, you don't produce fruit for 2 years or however long. And I think the directions that came with this said like a year to 2 years. I'm showing you all of this because I started getting fruit this year and it was just now planted. Now, these was not planted on top of the ground, obviously. My boyfriend had to dig holes for these for me. And to me, the key is if you watch the company video, which I can't remember, Izon, yeah, Izon Nursery, the guy will tell you how to plant it, and I somewhat did it the way he said. So, yeah, I got fruit the first year off this one. The other one, I didn't get any fruit off of it. It just kind of gave me leaves. And plus, my dog did ruin it. That's one of the cantaloupes I grew. I grew that watermelon. All of that I grew. Like I said, I grew like 3 different tomatoes and 3 different types of watermelon. I was not expecting any of this stuff to work out, and it did. And look at the weight on this bad boy. My heaviest was 56 pounds, and I did enter it in that watermelon wars with Broke Farmer, and I came in second place. Someone with one with 59 pounds outweighed me. So I was very proud of myself because, again, I was not expecting this to work. The one thing about this particular set of watermelon, I didn't plant these. I actually, my chicken coop was sitting here and I was like moving it around the yard in different places and I was giving my chickens watermelon. So apparently some seeds were there and they started sprouting and growing. And once I noticed that I had plants, I laid down this weed blocker and you can see. So the plants kind of grew over that and they prevented a lot of weeds and grass from growing up in it. And so, yeah, I'm showing you how big this thing was getting. But these right here were seeds I did not plant. It was from a watermelon that I had bought from the store that wasn't no good. And I just fed it to my chickens. These watermelon came out to be amazing. Here I'm showing you that container is what I planted more potatoes in, but the bugs were eating my leaves and I finally figured out, or worms were eating my leaves and I finally figured it out. Those red potatoes that you saw in that video briefly, I grew those red potatoes the same way. I had some potatoes on the counter and they started sprouting on me. And I got a cardboard box, like the box you would get from a dollar store or Amazon or something like that. Filled that mug up with some fertilizer and dirt. Put my potatoes in there, and they grew. Cardboard box. Here, guys, I'm just basically showing you some of my produce that I pulled. Like, I had a very abundant year. That's a cantaloupe. I had a very abundant year with fruits and vegetables that I planted. That's that tomato plant. And I'm 5'5", and this is how it was. And it's still young. It had just started producing fruit. And those tomatoes I showed you, well, I guess it got this tall like in a week's time. And the only thing I was feeding it was chicken manure, and I kept it watered, and it just grew. It wound up being over 10 feet tall, and it was huge, but I would never plant it right there again. Okay, guys, I planted this corn that same way. Put this blocker down, put my slits in it. Some of this corn, I think I had more right here. I don't believe I show. These started from seed, but I started them in the greenhouse that I bought from Amazon. That was only like $29. And then I transferred them over here. Same method. Put some dirt down. That darker soil is that good dirt that we got from Walmart. Put some soil down. Put my plants in it. Build around it. And I think over here, when I go to the pictures, I'll be able to show you how the roots are showing. And you just keep building it up, like right here. Just build it up. Keep building it up. That's what I did. And I wasn't expecting it to work with the corn because, corn can get kind of heavy and want to lean. I had no problem. None whatsoever. This is the zucchini that was in the bed. All right, so that's it for that. Let's go over here. Can I move this without messing anything up? Because, So real fast, I'm just gonna share some pictures with you. That's a crimson. So the first video at the beginning of the video that I showed you, and I was like, that's watermelon and cantaloupe together. Here's how they started growing that cantaloupe. I think this particular day I had just noticed that cantaloupe. Like it had been growing and I had never seen it. And then I was like, oh, I got a cantaloupe beside a watermelon. It was really cool. Over here in this area where all this is planted, it was two different watermelons. The round ones, which I think is crimson sweet or something like that. And the rattlesnakes, I think that's what it's called. And then the cantaloupes. There's that watermelon. Those are some strawberries I pulled. There's the red potatoes. I grew those in a box, a cardboard box. There's another example of my wonderful cantaloupe. Okay, so this was a tomato, it was a tomato plant. And it was several in this thing. Like I told you, I overplanted it. But I started going out there and I noticed every day, like, stems was missing leaves, like they were bare. And then I noticed this little mug right here. I kept blaming it on the grasshoppers, but the grass on this side of the yard, like this is like at the bottom half of my yard, grasshoppers wasn't down here. They were up at the top where, closer to the house. This little mug right here, which is the next picture, is disgusting. I can't remember the name of it, but that one plant, that day, I pulled like 6 of these off, and my skin was crawling, and I fed them mugs to my chickens. I'm sorry, guys, but I fed them to my chickens. So, in the video, I had some pots that like came from the dollar store. You can go to, I say dollar store, but it's actually Dollar Tree, and you can buy those stackables. Guys, for $1, get you a pack of these seeds. The stackables, I think, are like $1.25. Get you a stackable, and it don't take much dirt for those stackables. So, one bag of dirt will do you good. Let me see if I show them. Just in case you don't know what a stackable is, which I think I pointed it out. Anyway, get you a stackable, put you some dirt in it, put those seeds in it, and guess what? You can grow you some food in your house. Okay. You see right here, pause. That's a stackable. And you have 3 sections. They have them really small or you can get them big. And they're like $1.25. Sprinkle some of these seeds in there because it's a whole lot of seeds. And yeah, it do grow. And as it start growing, you get the clipping and you can eat like right out of your container because you ain't pulling it out of the dirt. You just clipping it. You can cook with it. You can use it in your salads. It is no excuse for you not to find something to do. And when you start eating your own food and you realize it tastes totally different, you'll fall in love with it. This is lettuce. And it was growing in a spot that I did not plant it. So this was one of those examples where I had stuff coming up everywhere after that rain. I planted this asparagus the same way, guys. On top of this, my dirt. I did have to keep filling this up, like building it up, because it got so tall. But, I was just amazed that I was growing asparagus. That's a horrible picture. But, yeah, it was awesome. That's a tomato plant that I did not plant that was growing up by my corn. And I was shocked it was producing fruit. There's my corn. And you can see the tomato plant right here. But, yeah, the corn got tall, as you see. This one was starting to turn, and yeah, the corn did really good and it tastes amazing. That's that watermelon plant. I should say patch. And that's all I'm showing you. That was the round ones. And this was a little bit of everything. Like I had some lettuce coming up. I think over here was my zucchini. But all of those are the pole beans and the bush beans. But as you see, those beetles was tearing my leaves up. And that's the squash and stuff that came up in that raised bed. So, and that's that corn again. See how tiny. And there's that thing where I grew my, God, it still ain't coming to mind. But yeah, I grew food in there. And you see I had my cardboard down, killing the grass off. There's that muscadine vine. You see how tiny it was? And then it just said, boom. Yeah. So guys, basically what I'm showing you is it is absolutely no reason for you to find something to motivate yourself. And I'm not going to stay long talking because this camera is freezing. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope I was able to share some stuff with people and they get some ideas to get motivated, find something to do, but that was one of mine. I wanted to share one of my coping mechanisms, and that was it. Thank you guys so very much for listening to me. I'm losing my voice, so I definitely need some water. And I gotta stop touching my face because I'm definitely breaking.